All right, everyone, we are getting ready to get started. I'd like to welcome Reilly from the Washington State Library talking about our Talking Book and Braille program. If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat, and we are recording this so you can also come back and view it later. All right, I'll hand it over to Reilly.
Okay. And so I don't need a microphone or anything?
I don't think so. I will let you
We'll
know.
find out. Well, good afternoon, I should say. My name is Reilly Curran. I'm with the Washington Talking Book and Braille Library, and I am here to talk about our free library service. Are people semi-familiar with our library or heard our name before? I see a nod.
I knew there was one out.
I love it. Okay, 2 nods, like I'll take it. Okay, let me make sure I can go full screen. Okay. And hopefully everyone online can hear me. Well, I always like to start out with what is WTABL? And that's what we call the Washington Talking Book and Braille Library, because it's a mouthful, so we do WTABL for short. So you'll hear me referring to WTABL a lot. So we are the only library in the state that serves people who can't read standard print. And that could be because of any kind of reading difficulty, vision, it could be physical, it could be cognitive, any reason like that. We serve those folks, and this is their library, essentially. We are part of the National Library Service, which is part of the Library of Congress. And we're also part of the Washington State Library. So we kind of we're under 2 different hats, if you will. The National Library Service is more of the library end, and the Washington State Library is more of the administrative end. To give a little context, in 1931, the Pratt-Smoot Act was passed that essentially told the Library of Congress they needed to create a library service for people who were blind to be able to receive materials. It works? Oh, good. Okay, nice. And the idea behind it being that individual library branches weren't going to be able to have the ability to get embossed Braille as easily as if they had a more concerted effort. So they created the National Library Service. There's a picture on the screen here of Ruth Pratt and Reed Smoot. Both look very distinguished. Reed has a very bushy mustache, and Ruth is looking out into the distance. And then also, not only they started in 1931, but we were actually part of the Seattle Public Library before that. We started actually in 1906, our specific library. And so when they created the National Library Service, we became one of those regional libraries. And then over time, they expanded the services. So they expanded it to not just Braille books, but talking books on phonographic records. They expanded it to children and to people with physical limitations. So it started out with just blind adults and then spread out from there. Today, there are 55 regional libraries across the states. So anywhere you are in the United States, you're going to have a library that's connected to you. You can even go abroad, and we have a broad library, so you can still access books that way. So if you know of anyone that you think might benefit from the service, just know that there's going to be a library out there to help them. I always like to then kind of break apart who is eligible. I think there's a lot of, rightly so, an assumption it's for people who are blind, and that is true. So it's for people who are blind or deafblind, but it's also for people with low vision. And so that could be anyone unable to read standard print without special aids or devices, excluding regular glasses. So that examples could be macular degenerations, cataracts, glaucoma, and eye surgery. Any of those reasons qualify for this program. In addition to that, there's physical limitations. And so the definition of that is the inability to turn a page or hold a book for extended amount of time. That could be because of really severe arthritis. It could be a stroke. It could be Parkinson's disease, cerebral palsy, any kind of illness or injury. If you broke your arm and you're in a cast for the next 3 months, you could qualify for our service. It doesn't have to be permanent. It can be temporary as well. And that last one is reading disability. So that includes dyslexia. It could also include dementia or traumatic brain injury. Any of those reasons also qualify for our service. So there's a large range of folks that do qualify for our service. And I think that's one thing I really try to hit home is that you may know of people who qualify for the service and could benefit from the service. So let's talk about signing up. So the process is pretty straightforward. Our application is pretty basic. We have a paper application, we have an online form, but the main things we will ask for are the mailing address and the information to send materials to you. And we will also ask you to get certified. And so I think when people hear certified, they're like, oh man, here we go. But this is actually pretty easy. The certification process just requires you, if you were going to be looking to be a patron, you would just need to have someone sign off on this piece of paper saying, yes, you qualify. And so, but that could be anyone from, it could be a librarian or library staff, so people here. It could be nurses, it could be doctors, it could be social workers, it could be reading specialists. There's a whole list of people who qualify as being eligible to certify people. And that's all we need. We just need them to mark a box of which disability you qualify with. And then from there, that's all we need. We don't need any medical records at all. So let's talk about actually how it works. So we have two main modes of service. We have a mail service, so everything goes through the USPS, and we also have an online service. So two options for patrons to use. Patrons can also use both. So let's talk about audiobooks by mail. So let me shift to the next part. On the screen in front of me is a rectangular black device. We call it a talking book player. It has different shaped buttons. Some are different colors, and it's meant to be really user-friendly. So this is our talking book player. And this is something that we provide for free for everyone who's a patron of ours, who wants to listen to talking books. There is a cartridge in the right top corner that it's in a blue case. And the cartridge itself, it looks kind of like the same shape as the tape, I guess, and it's actually a USB drive that would go into the talking book player. I guess I should back up and say, I think sometimes people are confused about what is a talking book and how is it different from an audiobook? And the answer is it's the same. It's just different formats. So the way our files are formatted, it can only be played on a talking book player or on a device that is registered with the National Library Service. So that's the main difference. So we get audiobooks from Audible. We get audiobooks from other commercial publishers. Also, we do our own audiobooks, both regionally and nationally. Our player also comes with accessories. So if, say, you wanted a remote control, so you can kind of control it from the opposite side of the room, or if you wanted to use headphones, you could have headphones. We have our own USB port that you could put in and actually play talking books from there as well. And then also have a breath switch as an option too. So all of these are free and there's no time limit or anything like that. And the nice thing about this is there's no, if something happens to the device, like I've had someone say, I spilled coffee on my player, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, that's okay. Life happens. That's like, we understand. Just let us know. We'll send you a new one and you can send the old one back. So it's meant to be really, really easy for people to use and not to worry about anything in terms of equipment or anything like that. So our mail service uses what we call duplication on demand. And it's essentially a profile service. So when we sign someone up, we will ask, what kind of books do you like? What kind of authors? Are there specific series you like? Are there genres that you like? Are there genres you don't like? And we kind of create what we call a profile of books for the person that we're signing up. And based on that, a queue is created so that every time a cartridge comes in, it will be automatically added to and new books will go out. So I should back up and say, so when each cartridge, our default is to have 7 books on a cartridge and to have each person have 3 cartridges. So like 21 books at a time. But that's totally flexible. I have people who prefer to have 25 books on a cartridge and 10 cartridges at a time. I have people who want 1 book on a cartridge and 1 cartridge at a time. It's really customizable and based on whatever works best for the person. So what we then do is, so when we send out a cartridge, whoever grabs it can listen to it, and when they're done, they can put it back in the mail and send it back to us. And so if you are signed up for auto select, what we do is then we'll create a new cartridge right away and send another cartridge out. So there's no wait time. There's no need to be like, hey, can you send me another cartridge? We base it all on kind of like the auto select features. But people can also call and say, hey, I heard about this book. I'm really interested. Can I add it to my queue? And we can do that too, especially if we have it. If we don't have it, we can also ask about getting it produced. And then people can also choose to just pick their own books. So they don't need to have the auto select option. They could give us a long list of books they want to read. And as long as we have books in their request list, we will send out a cartridge. If we don't, we won't send anything out. So, and then all of this, there are no due dates. So there's no due dates, there's no holds. You can keep the book as long as you want, which is really nice. And one of the reasons we're able to do that is that we are able to take advantage of a copyright exemption that allows us to download as many books of the same title as we want. So like sometimes at public libraries, if you look for an ebook, there's like 3 copies available. We could give everyone the same book at the same time, and there's no waiting. It's really nice. So that's one of the nice kind of, you don't have to wait for a book. You don't have to worry about getting it back on time. It's really kind of go at your own pace. And so the other option is our online option. We have what we call the Braille and Audio Reading Download, or what we call BARD for short. It's essentially, it's a national download site. So it's a website as well as an app, and it gives access to all of our collection. And when I say all of our collection, I mean the National Library Services collection. So you can download any books on there directly to a device, and it could be either a smart device or tablet. Any of those can then actually keep the books as long as you want. The books will never disappear, so you can hold on to it as long as you want, and there's never any expiration date. There's also magazines. We have magazines available, and then we also have a Braille music collection available too. Oops, I missed one slide. I also want to say that we, for our Braille collection, we can send out either embossed Braille books through the mail, or we can provide a patron with a refreshable Braille display for free, and they can then access our e-Braille files and read Braille on the actual refreshable display. So that's something that we offer as well. So not only are we offering folks who are using our audiobooks the ability to kind of take it on the go, but also for our Braille readers. Let's see here. Some of our programs and services that are also at our library include, I kind of had mentioned this earlier, we have our own audiobook production department. So that means that we produce our own audiobooks in-house in the library. We rely heavily on volunteers. Almost all of our books are produced by volunteers. When we did the math, I think we said that our volunteers do the amount of work that 7 full-time employees would do. So they do a ton of work. It's a lot, but they are amazing. And so our focus in our collection for what we produce is the Northwest. We want Northwest books, Northwest authors, anything that connects the Northwest, because in our mind, everything we produce will not only get accessed by our patrons, but anyone in the program nationally. So we see this as our way of kind of beefing up the national collection of Northwest books. And we also have our own Braille book production department. And I think they average about 50 books a year, but that includes people who are transcribing and then proofreaders, and then there's like proofreading teams, and then it turns into a e-Braille file and can be then embossed if requested. For our readers advisory, we have 2 people actually on staff who are there 8:30 to 5 every day, Monday through Friday, who are available to answer any questions. If you have something that you want to ask about your account, or you are looking for a new mystery, they're there to kind of be the first point of contact for you. They can help with also updating your account. Let's say you moved and you want to update your address, any of those things. We also have technical and instructional support. So if you are using the player and something funky happens, you can talk to our technical services librarian. If you're on the Bard app on your iPhone and it crashes and it's not working, you can talk to us too. So we kind of provide that support as well. One thing I forgot to mention that is important to know, that I want to back up a little bit, is that for anything that goes through the mail, it's all free. So what we're able to use is what we call the free matter for the blind. It's a postage exemption, essentially. So anything we send to the people is free. Anything people send to us is free. So you don't have to worry about getting postage, going to the post office. So it makes it really nice and simple. So when you put, you get a cartridge you want to send back, you can put it in the nearest mailbox and it will come back to us that way. Forgot to mention that. We also have a statewide outreach that we do. And then we also have a lot of volunteers that I had mentioned earlier that really help us really make all the audiobooks and Braille books possible. So I went through that pretty quickly. I'm happy to answer any questions. Yeah, thank you for listening. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, I understand that these guys can sign up for an account.
100%.
What about teachers?
Teachers can as well. So what we do is we have teachers, we'll actually do it through the institution. So depending on whatever school they're at, we'll say, okay, the Cherry Hill School has an account and this is the person connected to it. It would be that person. And then they would also be able to download books either through Bard or request books through the mail to also kind of supplement their materials, as well as Braille books. Yeah, yeah.
I need information to do that.
I can do that.
I was gonna want that.
I can help with that.
You mentioned with different folks who are eligible to sign off as the certifying person.
Yeah.
Can educators be the person to sign
Yes,
off? Okay.
yes, definitely. Yep, teachers, superintendents, principals, any of those folks. Really, it just comes down to anyone who's kind of in a professional capacity who can then verify it. Yes, this person would benefit from the service. Yeah. Any other questions? Question.
I'm just curious, if someone was interested in volunteering with the library, like doing the Braille books or the audiobook, do you have to be there in person to do it?
That's a great question. So if you asked me a year ago, I'd say yes, you have to be in person. With the pandemic, that changed a lot. So we did have more people doing Braille transcription and audio recording from their homes. It's not something we've kind of fully implemented, but something we're definitely dabbling in, because we do have a lot of people who are interested, but don't necessarily have the ability to get to our downtown Seattle library. So it's in the works. It's something we're thinking about, but we're not quite there yet. Yeah.
You were also talking about an instrument that you could read Braille on, but then
So I wish I had brought it with me. So it's essentially the same size as this player in a way. It's kind of a rectangle. And what it has though is pins that are kind of long. And as the person's reading, they can hit a button and the cells will change as they go along. So instead of having multiple volumes of Braille that they're taking along with them, they can take, hundreds of books onto this device and read it that way. Yeah. Yeah.
that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Our collection's very similar to public libraries. So we have a lot of genre books. And let me see here. We're always adding books. So as they come, a lot of people will ask, well, how fast can you get the newest book? And the question is fair. And the answer is pretty fast, much faster than before. Because we do have relationships with book publishers, we're able to get it much faster that way. Where instead of having to create our own version of the audiobook, we can access it that way. But it's really dependent on publisher to publisher. But I would say within the few months after the new book has come out is usually when we're able to get access to it. We also have different programs. For, our youth services librarian is pretty amazing. She does programs for both early learning literacy. So she has early learning kits that get sent out via the mail that can be used by parents and children. She has a pen pal program that's statewide. And actually this time around, they're doing a pen pal program with Michigan too. So there's Michigan and Washington students communicating through the mail. And then we also have a accessible gaming lab that she has that you can take along with her, which is pretty darn neat. So if, for example, you guys ever wanted to host an accessible gaming lab here, she could bring the materials here and do it for you guys as the library. We also have, she does an accessible escape rooms, which I have yet to see like actually in person, but she is pretty darn amazing, very creative. Her name is Erin Groth. She's our youth services librarian, but she's also always thinking of ways of kind of reaching out to people in our state, because we're not necessarily all in the same place. We're statewide. So how do we create community across the state, which is always something we're looking to try and do. We also have a summer reading program for youth. And that goes all through the mail. So every week you would get a packet in the mail that you could do the activities with and kind of count through and then earn prizes that way as well. And we also do have an adult bingo, adult book bingo that happens in the summer as well. Last summer was our first time and it went pretty darn well. And so we were able to provide either large print, digital, or Braille bingo cards that then people can then fill out and then send back to us and earn prizes. So that was fun. I'm trying to think what else. Yes.
I have a question from the audience.
Okay.
Do you have any formal relationship with the state schools for the blind and or deaf?
Yeah, so I know that we have a relationship with the Washington State School for the Blind, and that's in Vancouver.
Yes.
Yep. And I'm sure I think Aaron would probably be able to answer that better, but yes, we definitely have connections with them, yes. Is there a specific question based on that?
No.
Okay.
Just if you did have one.
Yeah, we do. We go to their track meets every year. And there's a big track meet at the end of the year that we're able to participate in. It's really fun.
I was wondering, you mentioned your youth services librarian has programs that they can come to our branch. Do you know if there's anything similar for adult services, or is it mostly for youth?
It's something that we're working on. We don't technically have an adult services librarian. I kind of act like it because that's kind of how I fall under, but I'm always trying to find opportunities to do that. So, but I'm trying to think, like in the past, I know they did like a tea where they invited people who were patrons to their local library and did kind of like a book share. We try to do things online, but it's not something that's necessarily taken off as much as I would like. So we're always looking for opportunities. So if you think of anything you think we could do, please let us know. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
No more questions online.
Well, I'm always happy to answer questions later. Let's see here. I can send my email.
Yes, if you send it to me, I can send it to the whole district.
Perfect. And people could ask questions that way. If you're interested in receiving materials, some of our materials, we have brochures and applications and all that stuff, let us know. There's actually a menu online you can request that way. Yeah, if you're ever in the Seattle area, consider dropping by. We're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. And it's kind of a funky mid-century modern building that's kind of fun to check out. So thank you for having me today.